Well, apparently I have to make these things kind of quick because I run out of storage on my iPhone. But when I was last trying to record this video, I was like at this like peak emotional moment where I was really getting some catharsis, and then I look up and it's like, oh, your phone storage is full. But I recap some stuff from like just my life in general. I mean, externally speaking, like my life seems to be going pretty well, and health wise it's kind of okay. There's things I need to work on, but like I think I'd recap that initially to sort of paint a clearer picture of like how what I'm really going through now is truly like is internal, and it feeds off of or comes off of the last video I put up, because I'm still like torn up about that girl from 20 years ago. And all because I started looking into this series, looking for Alaska, and then just drawing all these parallels there, and just thinking about life at nearly 40, and the fact that that series is set during my high school years, and the girl who's in that, who's a center of it all pretty much, she dies halfway through, and it's 2005 that she dies, and the girl, I think it was 2006, and just having all these memories flooding, my mind now from like the last time I talked to her, and how we'd had a disagreement, and I apologized, and then I remember like I literally could like recall what it felt like just giving her a hug, like it's almost like she's here. And just like thinking about where my life is at as far as that part of life is concerned, and getting this sort of sense that like I went off on this wrong path in life, because God, like it was less than a month after I moved out of the state that that she died in that car accident. And then she ended up being laid to rest on my birthday, my 20th birthday. And thinking about that, thinking about how I had like this crush on her. I really got to fully express it. I don't think I remember dancing with her a few times, like I think in middle school and high school. And she was one of those types who was on the straight and narrow, who wasn't like messing around or anything. She was going to school and working and volunteering and teaching Sunday school, and then as some a-hole reckless driver, probably drunk, goes and just ends her life like that. And she was 18, just a year out of high school, and it's like, and then I started thinking more and more, like, because of all my failures in that romantic part of life, she could have possibly been like A1 that it could have worked with, and I was off on the other side of the country chasing after stuff that, like, aspirations that did not pan out, that I ended up wasting 3 years of my life on, at the very least, if not more, if you count like the retaking of classes I had to do when I came back, and then like the times I had to spend paying off the student loan debts and all that. And I want to think to myself, like, what if I had stayed here, back in that town, and somehow gotten it together, and maybe we'd end up dating, or maybe it would just been a friendship thing where, like, who knows, I could have given her a ride that day, and she wouldn't be on the road there, and she'd still be alive, and then her family wouldn't have to go and visit that grave on my birthday every year. And I was, the point where I was at in that last take was I was talking about how, like, I've been bent out of shape about my birthday and family not remembering it and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, that day means something completely different to that family. Um, they got to go visit a grave of their, daughter who was killed by a drunk driver or a reckless driver, some a-hole when she was 18, and she didn't get to live a life. She didn't get to go anywhere. She didn't get to do anything really. She didn't get to have those experiences. She didn't get to graduate from college. She didn't get to go and get that first adult job and move out and have her own apartment, her own place. She didn't get to really travel the world, do anything. I don't know if she was seeing somebody at that point in time or not, but I still remember the last time I talked to her and the hug I gave her, which, to be honest with you, like, I don't think she necessarily felt comfortable with me giving her a hug at that point. I mean, I was 19. I didn't pick up on social cues. It wasn't anything threatening. I was literally apologizing to her for some thing I had said in some juvenile argument, which, like, those are the things that you end up, like, hating about yourself or being regretful of. It's just, like, the stupid things you fought over or things you said or what have you. But, I talked to my dad about that earlier, like, that day. This is, like, 20 years ago, and he, told me, like, the argument that I had with her, and, he told me, like, you need to apologize to her. Like, you don't know if you'll see her again. You're going off to the other side of the country. Like, leave on good terms, that sort of deal. And, hey, thanks, Dad. Like, at least that's a regret that I don't have. But I remember that, and it's like, it's almost like she's here. And, I get this sense of, like, being out of time and, like, this time traveler who's stranded in the future, and that things were supposed to work out. They would have worked out back then with somebody, with her, or some other, woman in my generation. And, I'd feel more, like, comfortable in my own skin and, like, where I need to be at, not having to entertain all sorts of things at this age when I'm nearly 40, and, like, to be honest with you, a male virgin. And by the way, it's not really per se about the lack of sexual experiences, it's about, like, the lack of romantic connection. Because, if you want to just go and get laid, you can go get laid. You can go and, hire some escort or so and go and do that stuff, whether it's, you gotta do that under the table, so to speak, because it's illegal in the state you live in, or, it's not, and you can just go and do that. But there would have been something really there, and it's like I was, spending time chasing other things, or, like, at that point in time, I did have a girlfriend, so there's no, like, hanky-panky going on, but, that girlfriend didn't treat me the way some other girls possibly would have treated me, better, and so this sort of me staying with some woman who, didn't treat me well, didn't treat me with respect, or some girl didn't treat me with respect, and just, regrets, and feeling like it's all over, and, like, it's a bit of a pity party, but at the same time, it's like, no, like, I feel bad about all this, and I just say I miss that girl, and I miss those times, and I miss a lot of other people from that time, but, like, she, like, symbolizes that, when we were the young generation, and it was our time, and it was our pop culture, and, our time of connection, and so on, and it's like, that's gone, and, while NoFap to a significant extent does give me a sense of peace, it's kind of like something that I have to stick on to in order to keep my sanity, because it's like, maybe I can forget about the things that I've missed out on, and I can forget about some other things, too, because it's like I'm finally coming to terms with a lot of this stuff, like that memory of her, like, I swear I blocked that away for decades, for these last 2 decades, because I couldn't process it. I couldn't process how, like, I could know someone like that, and honestly, like, I think I met her back at the the second half of 7th grade. And, from then onwards, like through to the end of the end of high school, and I danced with her a few times, and I couldn't really process like how someone like that could be there one instant and then like gone the next, and you're back visiting for winter break. You've already had to deal with enough of your own darkness, because I had to deal with like ideations upon a certain thing that I'm not going to get into. And then you're at the store and you're talking to people, and they're all like still shell shocked from it, obviously, and they tell you, you didn't hear, so and so, like, she's gone, she's dead, she died, she was in a car accident. And it's like, wait, what? When? And then when was her? Oh my God, that was my birthday. And just repressing that for like 2 decades, like I repressed so many other things. Anyways, I'm just trying to get myself through that sort of stuff right now, using external factors to try and pull myself through things. But like, I don't know, like, I think the reason I'm out here making this video is because like ever since then, that's really hit me, like that I get to the end of my day and I'm laying there in bed and I'm like, okay, I know what I got coming tomorrow, and I gotta take care of this and take care of that. But like, I also think to myself, like, I kind of find a pointlessness in it. um I don't got some girl like that or woman like that, there with me. I'm coming home to, and got the kids there, calling me, their father, and I don't have that. And someone who just like would get me because like she was there during that time and she gets it, and she knows the band and the music and the pop culture and the sense of humor and the historical events and just like how things were, and oh, you remember so and so and this and that. And it's like I'm left with solitude, honestly, loneliness, and just like a bunch of what ifs and regrets. And you know I don't know, like, I'm planning on visiting her grave and leaving something there for her, just to sort of have done my sort of thing, because like I couldn't be there for the funeral, I couldn't be there for any of that. And I don't think I would have been able to handle it. Like, I remember there was this one dude in high school who is the term unalived, is that allowed here? I don't know. He chose to exit this world of his own volition. And I remember being at his memorial event and just hearing and seeing like his friends who were classmates of mine. I knew him in passing, but I didn't know him, like know him. But hearing and seeing them just like breaking down and crying and trying to give a eulogy for him, one at a time, and it was just like, it was so like disconcerting and like discomforting and kind of awkward, because I was just like, I didn't know the guy, and I'm trying to like process like what's going on here, like why they're responding like this. Like logically I could go, okay, like one of their friends, this is what happened, and here's why it happened, and there's this huge cover up at the school because the people who were bullying him, their parents were teachers or school administrators or police officers or whatever. But like, not being able to truly get that, and then it's like, then fast forward a couple years and this happened, and then now 20 years later I'm like, now it's really hitting me, and it's like, I don't know. I miss her. And I miss those times, and I miss like feeling like I was with my people, in my time and all that. But I'm gonna try and get through this, and maybe through the fact that there are people external to my own self or my own situation who are depending on me, that'll pull me through. Because I got group project members, I've got family still, fortunately. Um, I've got coworkers. I got people I live with. But it's just really, really, really hard right now. And yeah, no Feb Day 62, going to 63. Maybe that's something that'll do for me, but you know, to pull me through. But anyways, before I run out of space on this, camera, and I can start uploading, hopefully see you folks around. Sorry for the real downer. I'm just, I'm in that space right now, and I'm trying to get out of this state, this labyrinth, not I suppose through trying to use the future to escape the present, which is something I've done far too often in this life, only to end up here and like sitting here going like, okay, what was it all for, trying to cope in a healthy manner, which apparently is all you can do when you become an adult, just trying to cope with all the shittiness of life. Anyways, see you folks around. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.